The National Electrical Code addresses the placement of electrical panels. It states that electrical panels are prohibited in closets used for storing combustible materials. A typical example of this is a clothes closet, as described in NEC section 110.26. C2. However, the code doesn't specifically forbid placing a breaker box inside a pantry. While placing a breaker box in a pantry is generally permissible according to code, providing adequate clearance around the breaker box is essential for safety and accessibility during maintenance and troubleshooting. The recommended clearances are as follows. Firstly, provide a minimum of 30 inches of working space in front of the breaker box. This clear space allows technicians to safely access the panel for repairs, inspections, and other necessary tasks. Secondly, maintain a minimum of 12 inches of clearance on both sides of the breaker box. This side clearance provides enough room to maneuver tools and equipment while working on the electrical panel. Thirdly, ensure a minimum of 18 inches of clearance above the breaker box. This vertical space allows for proper ventilation and prevents obstructions that could hinder access to the panel's components. Fourthly, maintain a minimum of 6 inches of clearance below the breaker box. This bottom clearance helps protect the panel from moisture and debris on the floor, as well as allows for cable entry. Beyond code requirements and recommended clearances, several other factors should be considered when installing a breaker box in a pantry. Firstly, adequate ventilation is vital to prevent the breaker box from overheating. Electrical panels generate heat during operation, and insufficient ventilation can lead to a buildup of heat, potentially causing damage to the panel or creating a fire hazard. Secondly, the breaker box must be easily accessible for maintenance and troubleshooting purposes. This means that the panel should be located in a readily accessible area of the pantry, free from obstructions that could impede access. Thirdly, avoid placing the breaker box near sinks, faucets, or any other sources of water. Water and electricity are a dangerous combination, and placing the panel near water sources increases the risk of electric shock or equipment damage. Fourthly, it's essential to avoid storing combustible materials or bulky items in the pantry near the breaker box. Storing such items near the panel creates a fire hazard and can obstruct access to the panel in case of an emergency. In conclusion, according to the NEC, placing a breaker box in a walk-in pantry is allowed, provided that you adhere to the recommended clearances. You must also address the other considerations such as ensuring proper ventilation and keeping combustible materials away from the electrical panel.